All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It's time for Legally Yours. Your host, attorney John Fuller, is in the studio. John, of course, is an attorney here in Ocala at the law firm of Fuller & Fuller, also here in Ocala. The other Fuller is his beautiful wife, Janet. And John is here to answer your questions, especially if you have a specific question about your specific legal circumstances. Don't wait to call, because sometimes these answers take more than a yes or no answer. So call right now, and we'll put you right on. 622-9622, 622-WOCA. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Larry. It's great to be back, and hello to our listeners. We've had a number of schedule conflicts lately, and I regret that we haven't been able to be here live and talk to our listeners who may have legal questions, legal problems for them, their family, their loved ones, friends. So we're happy to talk in general terms. If you have a case, if you've been in a car wreck, if you're injured with serious injuries and you would like to speak with us, we'd be happy to meet with you at our office and talk about the details of your individual case. But this program's a lot of fun to talk about general legal principles. And so if anyone has a question, we invite you to call during the next 30 minutes or so.
And let me mention the date. I know sometimes the listeners try to call when you're not here, and it's because they're not clear about this is being live or not. So if you're listening on Wednesday, September 17th, 2014, the 17th of September, then you're listening to a live show, and you're definitely welcome to call. And again, the number is 622-9622, 622-WOCA. So what's happening this time of year, and do you schedule things sometimes?
Well, I've often been asked, is there a quote busy season in the professional practice, and there really isn't. People have problems that unfortunately arise in their lives without any notice or expectation. Someone runs a red light and hits them, and they're injured. They didn't wake up that morning and pencil that in on their calendar that I'm going to need to go to the hospital, see my doctor, and call a lawyer because someone was negligent and they hurt me. So we can't plan for those things. We react to them, and sometimes they happen frequently in a short time period. Other times they're more spread out. So I haven't found any real rhyme or reason to say, well, springtime is a busy time. Right. If you're in retail, you know you're going to be busy during the Christmas season. If you're a CPA, you know you're going to be busy during tax season. When you're in trial law, you don't know. You can also I have cases that sometimes take 6 months, a year, sometimes longer for them to develop, for all the facts to be compiled and gathered and all the preparation done. And so you may have 2 or 3 cases that you work on for 6, 8, 9 months, and then all of a sudden they kind of reach fruition. In personal injury cases where we're representing people who have been seriously injured, we want to wait until the medical experts are able to give us their opinion as to what this person's injuries are, impairments, limitations, future medical and surgical needs, because you only have one day in court, maybe a week, it may be 2 weeks, it may be 3 days, that's a figure of speech, but you only have one opportunity to present your case to a jury and ask for all of the elements of damages that the law says you're entitled to, and to put on the evidence as to what are the costs of those different elements of damages, so that at the end of the day, you can give the evidence to the jury, and you can ask that jury to give that injured person full compensation. Because what we want out of our juries is justice. And justice for an injured party is full compensation to try to make them whole as best we can with a monetary award, which is all our system of justice can give them. And if they only get a half a measure of the amount of their damages, then they have only gotten half justice, and half justice, I suggest to you, is no justice.
Yeah, right. Well, in the story of Joan Rivers dying, the daughter Melissa had said that she was contemplating suing the clinic that did the surgery on her. I guess suggesting that she felt like they were negligent in some way. When you go into surgery, usually you sign something that says, "I understand that I might not wake up from this." Does that clear them, that little document you signed?
Well, it depends on the facts of the case, but most certainly, let's recognize this. Medicine is not an exact science. We have wonderful doctors who try very hard, and they have absolutely superb training. But there are things that happen that are simply beyond the ability of medical science and the greatest practitioners in the world to control sometimes, despite their best efforts. Yes, when you have a surgical procedure or any kind of a procedure, it is always appropriate and always done, as far as I know, for the professional to have the patient sign what is called an informed consent letter.
Yeah.
In that letter, if it's properly crafted, it lays out that there are known complications to every procedure. You can take one aspirin tablet and have a massive gastrointestinal bleed and die.
Wow.
Because that's one of the known side effects, even in something as simple as aspirin. I see we have a call.
Yes, sir, you sure do. Good morning. You're on there with John Fuller.
Good morning.
Hello. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. I got a question to ask. I looked at a job. I quoted the man a price, and he asked for a business card, and I shook the man's hand, and he says, "Let me think about it." Well, 2 days later, he calls me back and says, "You can come over and do the job now." I said, "I'll be in there next week." I go and do the job, and he sends me a check for $300. I called him up. I says, "You're a little short on your zeros." So he sends me another check for $1,200, but it was still short. So I go over there, and because this was a weekend house for him, so he was up for the weekend, and I go over there. I says, "I come over to get the rest of my money." He says, "I'm not going to give you no money because you didn't give me a contract." I says, "You did not ask for a contract." So I have put a lien against this man's place. Now he's contestant. Now I got to sue him. What all do I need to get my money?
Go hire a lawyer.
Yeah.
You don't have to, if you're performing labor and material and providing materials to improve real property owned by another party, and you perform and your work is satisfactory and you had an agreed upon price and they don't pay you, your remedy is to place a lien on the real property for the value of your work, less credit for whatever you've been paid, and then you have a duty to go forward and file an action to foreclose that lien. And, that's the legal remedy. You're on the right track. Presumably you filed your claim of lien in a timely manner, and you need to go forward and file an action to foreclose the lien. I don't know what the amounts of money involved are, but I would.
It was $3,000.
Well, I would. That's you're probably in summary claims court, but you need to go forward, and he's filed a notice of contest of your lien. You have to file a complaint to foreclose the lien. there are other causes of action that you may have too. Unjust enrichment, breach of oral contract because you have partially performed. So he's accepted the benefit of the bargain. There's a lot of theories that you have that give you remedies, and you can probably do those on your own in summary claims because the amount of money is not sufficient to justify the expense that you would have in hiring a lawyer to pursue that for you. Although under some statutes, and I'm not going to quote this off the top of my head, but under some statutes, lien law statutes, you do have a right to recover your attorney's fees if you prevail in foreclosing your lien. So what I would suggest to you, sir, is that you make an appointment with a lawyer who handles real estate litigation.
Alrighty, because the fine economy we got, I mean, it sucks. I mean, you get out and you do 2.5 days work, and he sent me first check he sent me was $300, and I called him up. I says, "You're real short on your zeros." And so then he sent me another one and put on the bottom, paid in full. Well, I never cashed these checks.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, you need to go ahead and file, and that amount of money is in summary claims, and they do have forms, and the people at the clerk's office are trained to help lay people fill out those forms. So a good starting place for you would be go to the summary, they call it summary claims in county court at the Marion County Judicial Center, and speak with the summary claims clerk, take copies of everything that you do. I assume you have receipts where you bought materials for the job,
yes,
et cetera.
It was the demolition.
Okay. Well, I don't know whether you rented a truck or a trailer or anything like that to remove the stuff, or you got your receipts where you took it to the dump.
Yes,
anything like that, that's part of your evidentiary proof. But good luck to you.
Yes, sir. You have a good day.
Thank you for calling.
I bet you a lot of people can relate to that, and having done a job. The lesson learned is to get a contract.
Well, that's helpful. It is obviously, recommended and advisable. That way, there's it minimizes the dispute of disagreements over what are the terms of the contract.
Yeah. When we demolished the old restaurant that used to be here, I mean, it was basically Joe and Dan and Robin and Patsy and I, and it was sledgehammers and muscles.
Oh,
there wasn't a whole lot of equipment.
It's a formidable task. When you're doing that, you can just drive by any site where there's a building being demolished, and
that's a great.
And there is some hazard in that too, because in older buildings, you find things that had lead-based paint, asbestos, things like that, and it's not without risk when you're ripping through and tearing through buildings that were built 30 years ago or whatever, or 40.
That guy got ripped off. But a lien would only come to fruition when the guy tries to sell his property, right? Or not necessarily?
Well, and they don't last forever. So you have a certain time frames. You file the claim of lien, but then that just puts a claim against the real estate, and he can't sell it without having to get that either cleared, paid for, or removed.
Wow.
And there's a provision in the lien statute that he could off-bond the lien by posting an amount of money in lieu of having the lien against his property, and then the lien is discharged, and the amount in controversy is put in the registry of the court, or you get a bond from an insurance company.
John, we have to take a weather break, and we'll be right back. If you'd like to speak to John Fuller, this is a great time to call. The number is 622-9622. We just need 30 seconds for weather, and we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, mostly cloudy with a couple of showers and heavier thunderstorms in the area, high 84 to 88. Mostly cloudy tonight with a shower and thunderstorm around, mainly early, low 69 to 73. A blend of sun and clouds tomorrow with an afternoon thunderstorm in spots, high 86 to 90. And for Friday, a bit cooler with clouds, some sun, and a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 81 to 85. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
All right, 12 minutes before 11 o'clock, there's a quick break. It's the 17th of September 2014, September 17th. If you're listening on September 17th, you're listening to a live show. Attorney John Fuller is here to answer your legal questions. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said off the air.
Oh, I just said, how do you like your new network with the weather breaks and all the things that add to your workload behind the rocket launcher that you have over there? You know, you look like something from Cape Canaveral as we do this from your studio.
Yeah.
I'm always impressed. Folks, for those of you listening that don't get a chance to see this, Larry is sitting here with a console that looks like something literally from the launch pad at Cape Kennedy when they had the rockets going up.
It is amazing. I mean, it does more than I know it does because it's got computers in it somehow. I don't even know what it does. So.
Well,
I know how to turn the microphone on is what I know.
You look quite masterful back there. You know, I'm impressed.
Yeah. So when somebody comes to you with a let's say that gentleman says from now on I'm going to have a contract. Does he need a lawyer to write up that contract? How does that work?
Yeah, it's preferable to have one, and if that's the kind of business that he is in, and he's doing these types of jobs on a regular basis, he ought to go get a form contract. And you can kind of fill in the blanks for basically what you're doing.
Something
and
in writing.
You don't necessarily have to have a new one for every job,
right.
Assuming all the jobs are similar.
Wow. So all he would have had to have had, although he would still have to put a lien.
He still has to.
Pay.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Even with the contract.
But in the contract, you can spell out that he can recover attorney's fees.
And you have a call. Good morning. You're on the air with John Fuller.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Very good, thank you very much. What are the qualifications to become a notary republic, and are lawyers involved in that? Can they be, or are they that automatically?
No, lawyers are not notaries automatically, but yes, lawyers can become notaries. You have to fill out a form. There's a statute. I forget the statute number on it, but it spells out what you do. You fill it out. You submit it to the state, and you have to purchase an insurance bond, and you have to certify that you have read the statute and you know what you are supposed to do as a notary and what you can't do. You can't notarize the signature of someone who's giving something to you, you know, and there are other restrictions, and it's important that you do it. There's a lot more to it than most people think. They just think, you know, somebody comes in and wants something notarized and they're a notary, they sign it and put this stamp on it and that's it. And that's actually a criminal violation not to properly notarize a document.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, but it, you know, you don't have to pass a test. You don't have to, you know, to do any kind of studying. You do have to read the statute, and it's not real long and it's not real complicated, but you need to read it. They give you a brochure that has the stuff in it, and it has a question and answer thing that answers most of the questions that people have.
Do notaries get a payment for their services? And if they do, is there kind of like a standard of what they can charge?
Well, yeah, there's actually a fee standard, I think, for what notaries can charge. We never charge anybody in our office for notarizing something. And most places, banks and those things, will do it as a courtesy. The amounts, I think, that are recommended are maybe $5 or something. I really don't remember, to be honest with you. You know, that's one of those things that with the blessings of the internet, you can go Google that and it'll probably tell you everything you ever wanted to know and more about it. But that's not something, you know, I don't deal with it. No, I will mention, and this is kind of interesting, that notary publics in Florida are licensed to perform weddings. So you may actually marry two people and sign the paperwork as a notary public, and that is a perfectly valid and lawful marriage.
Thank you. Appreciate the call.
How about divorce?
No.
You can't.
Sorry. If you're going to marry them, try to make sure you do a good one and make it last.
Yeah. And you have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with John Fuller.
Good morning. morning, Mr. Fuller.
Hey.
Always good to hear you.
How are you? Well, I've missed your calls. I've missed being here, but you're awfully considerate to call, and it's always a joy to talk with you. How have you been?
Just up and down, but more ups than downs. So.
Well, that's always a blessing. Yep.
Yeah, when you get past that 6-0, seems like you have those intervals. I was a notary for about, I guess, 30 years when I lost my sight. Of course, like you say, not being able to visually see ID and stuff like that, I gave it up. But I have another quick question. Once I lost my sight, I had a lot of problems with getting ripped off by cab companies in different areas, and to include this area. Is there a standard base charge for cab companies in this area? I'll hang up and listen to you, and I always enjoy listening to you. And of course, Larry's always been a great guy. But you guys have a good day, and I'll hang up and listen to you.
Well, once again, thank you for your kind comments. Unfortunately, I am not going to be able to answer that question because I can't answer it, and the answer is I don't know what the city or county ordinances say about taxi fares, rates, and requirements. I've never had occasion to look into it, never had an issue come up, and I just simply have no knowledge.
Going back to the notary, my mom was a notary, and when she passed away and I was going through her things and throwing things away and, saving some things, I found that metal thing that makes the imprint on the paper, and I was afraid to throw it away for fear that somebody else would use it and pretend they were a notary with her name.
Yeah, actually, I think, and don't hold me to this, but I think if someone passes away, I know the statute says that if you lose the seal, you have to immediately notify the state so they can revoke it.
Well, I still have it. Should I give it to them?
Well, they're usually time barred. They're good for 4 years or X number of years. I don't remember what they are, but if it's expired, it's expired.
So a document is illegal if it's not notarized?
No. Not necessarily.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you said.
No. Documents are not illegal if they're not notarized. Some documents, in order to be recorded in the public records or that sort of thing, have to be notarized. So, there are some documents that do need to be notarized, but you can have very valid and enforceable legal contracts that are not notarized.
Oh, okay.
Other contracts have to be in writing, signed before 2 witnesses and a notary public. It depends.
It's like a sale of a house. You have to have the notary.
Well, if it involves real estate, it needs to be notarized because you're going to record the deed, you're going to record the mortgage, you're going to do all that, and you cannot record an instrument in the public records of any county that does not have a proper acknowledgement on it, filled out, signed by a notary with the date affixed, showing the expiration of the notary's commission and how that person knew that the person that signed it was in fact the person he purported to be. That you have to know that person of your own personal knowledge, or like our caller just said a moment ago, you have to verify it with appropriate identification, such as getting a copy of a driver's license or whatever. And if you are a notary, and if you are doing that, and people are coming in and you don't know who they are, you ought to have a file so that when you notarize something, you keep a copy of it, and you keep a copy of their driver's license or whatever other photo identification that they gave you to confirm that if they come in and tell you they're John Doe and they're going to sign this document, John Doe, then you are swearing that you witnessed and acknowledged that it was John Doe, and that was John Doe who signed it. And so you need to have that. The
advice you gave the gentleman who was shortchanged or ripped off by his contracted work was the bottom line for when any time somebody calls here after you're gone. I say you need to call an attorney. What is your number? How do
our office number is 352-547-4292. Our toll-free number is 855-534-2565. The law firm is Fuller and Fuller. We handle Social Security disability cases, serious accident or death cases, and business and commercial litigation, and complex family law matters, contested probate, or real, that sort of thing, general litigation.
And remember, if any of the information you heard during John's show is something you want to share with somebody else, it's as easy as going to YouTube and getting the video and sharing it either by email or just kind of going to your friend's house and popping it on your laptop. The world is amazing now.
It truly is.
John, thank you for all
Thank you.
do.
It's always a pleasure, and it's nice to be back, and thanks to all our callers.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.